Right. So guys, so today's session will be VBA macros. People actually get confused saying that VBA macros means it's very complex programming. Then I'm not from a programming background. I'll not be able to understand how to write the programs. So all these confusions will be there. So what I'm actually suggesting you guys is just forget all those things. Anyone can write macros. It is very simple thing. Just like other language, what you're actually trying to learn, this is also a language which you're trying to communicate with MS Office applications. So first, let's understand what is this VBA. VBA is Visual Basic for Applications. The people actually get confused with VBA and macros. I'll just clear this confusion and then we'll start learning how to write the macros. VBA means Visual Basic for Applications. Visual Basic is actually a software which is actually a product of Microsoft, which has been implemented in MS Office applications. Now, what is MS Office application? You guys know that MS Office application is nothing but it's a package of Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Access, Outlook, and these kind of packages we have in MS Office applications. These Visual Basic product has been implemented in these applications so that you can control these applications easily. Okay, the programs what we write in these applications, that is in VB, that is actually called as macros. Macros are nothing but a set of instructions or programs which has been written with these MS Office applications. Okay, so don't have that confusion about VBA and macros. VBA is nothing but it's an application, that is Visual Basic for application. Macros is the program what we write in these applications. Okay, fine. So I have few slides now which I'll send you, so you can go through that, because I don't want to have a more of a theory class. Rather we'll have more of a practical class. So that theory part, whatever is there, what I'm explaining now, that is very clearly given in my say a document, which I'll be sharing it with you, so that you can go through that and understand more easily. Okay, fine. Now coming to this Visual Basic for application, many of them think that I want to learn Advanced Excel. Advanced Excel means learning about macros. Now remove this confusion as well. See, Excel and macros are totally different, but macros are actually written in Excel. So this is how we should think. The people actually think Advanced Excel means it is about writing the macros. It's nothing to do with Excel and macros. Macros are actually a program which you are writing in, say MS Excel or Word or PowerPoint or whatever. Okay, so when I say I'm actually using this macros, why people actually think that Advanced Excel means macros? Most of the companies actually use this macros which we write in MS Excel. So that is why people think that it is advanced way of using Excel. Okay, so don't get confused. So VBA is Visual Basic for applications. Macros means it's the program written in that applications, and these macros are actually used in any of these applications. Mostly we actually use in our MS Office. That's why this has become more popular among Excel users, right? Okay. Next is how we can start writing the macros. So for this, I have opened my Excel file here. So what we have to do is first we should understand where actually we should go to write the macros. What we have to do is,
So sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
Can you please share the screen? I'm still not able to see.
1 minute. Now, can you see?
Not yet.
1 minute. Let me just stop it and then I'll just a minute. Now can you see, people?
No.
No? Others? None of you can see the screen?
Yeah, we can see, sir.
Chitra?
Not yet.
I think you have minimized your screen.
No, it's like I'm getting a message. No screens or cameras are being shared.
Because I have shared this completely. Proceed, can you see?
Yes, sir, I can see.
Deepak?
Yes, sir. Even I can see.
Okay. Chitra, you just try and see because I've shared the screen.
So I'll do one thing. I'll rejoin the meeting.
Just disconnect so we can wait for you to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can see now, sir.
Yeah, you can see now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
Thank you.
go ahead. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So what I was actually telling is we have this Excel screen here. So we have this Excel open. Now we'll see how we can start writing the macros. When I'm actually start writing the macros, few things has to be understood before I write the macros. Because people actually directly go and start writing the macros, which will not understand from where we have to start. That is actually the wrong way of learning macros. I'll tell you from where you have to start. See, I've opened my Excel sheet. You know how to open this. Next is I have to go to the editor where I write my macros. So for that editor, what you have to do is first you have to press Alt plus F11. This is a shortcut key wherein I can go for writing the macros. Otherwise, I have one say tab here wherein I can use that. See here, I don't have the developer tab, so I can use the developer tab. If I don't have this developer tab, what I can do is I'll go to this Excel file, then here I have this options, then here I have this customized ribbon, and then I will select this developer and say okay. This tab, what you see here, developer tab, this is actually used for writing macros or using this editor. Can you see this code? Here I have this Visual Basic macros and all these things. So I'll just click on the Visual Basic. From here also, I can go to the editor. Can you see that it says Visual Basic Alt plus F11. That is a shortcut key which will open my Visual Basic editor. When I click on this, I'll go to editor or I'll practice using Alt F11, which will take me to this editor. So if you guys can see this editor, let me explain about this editor first. So this is the main thing what you should understand first before start writing your macros. Okay, so here if you see I have this editor. This is called as menu, and these are the toolbars, and here I have a blank window here. So first what we should do is once I go to this Visual Basic editor, or we also call it as VBE, three main windows has to be understood first. Three main windows. I'll tell you what are those windows. The first window is Project Explorer. Then we have Property window. Then we have Code window. Okay. Three main windows, that is Project Explorer, then Property window, and then Code window. So where are these? Let's go and check these three windows, how they look, and I'll explain what actually they do. Go to this view. If I click on this view, if you scroll down, here I have this Project Explorer, Property window, and then I have this Code window here. So these are the three windows. There are few other windows that I'll explain you in the coming sessions. But to start with, these are the three main windows first you should understand. Say Project Explorer, Property window, and then Code window. Now let me go to this Project Explorer. I'll click on this. See, this is how it looks. Next, I'll go and I'll click on this property window. This is how it looks. Next, I'll click on code window. This is how it looks. Okay. Again, let me close this. Let me close this and I'll close this. We have shortcut keys for this as well. Control R for Project Explorer. F4 for property window. F7 for code window. Now how to remember these shortcut keys? Don't worry. So what you have to do, just go to this view. Can you see this? Project Explorer, property window, and code window. They're given the shortcut key here. So few times if you practice this, few times if you just go through this, it will become very easy to remember. As and when you start practicing 100%, it will become, it will be on your fingertips where you can start using it. Okay. Now let's say Control R. The first one is the Project Explorer. So what is this Project Explorer? We'll try to understand. This is nothing but it's very similar to my Windows Explorer. Windows Explorer means I have this folders, subfolders, then again I have files in that. Similarly, this Project Explorer will have the hierarchy. If you can see, I have something called as VBA project book 1. This book 1 is nothing but the project, or say the file what I'm actually using it. See, this is the book 1. Here I have this book 1. Now let's say Alt F11. Next I have further few more objects. Say it can be sheets or some modules, which I'll tell you in few minutes. So more other objects will be there. It's something like a folder. See, I have a folder and I'll have all the objects in this. Next one is the property window, or F4. If I click on this, I'll get this window. So what does this do? See, every object in VBA will have the properties. For example, let's take a laptop and mobile. Laptop has got its own properties and mobile has got its own properties. So every object will have its own properties. So let's say a laptop, it has got its own size. Let's say mobile, it has got its own size, the memory space. So many things are there. So like this, the properties actually differ from one object to another object. Now, if you go and select this sheet 1, see, I have few properties related to this object. I can change the name. I can do some modifications in this. I can do some editing in this by using property window. Let me select this workbook. If I go and select this workbook, see, the properties change. That means every object has got its own properties, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is this Project Explorer will have all the objects, and property window will contain all the properties of that object. Next one, F7 or code window. If I click on this, see, I'll get a wide screen here. This is the place where I'm writing my macros. This white screen, what you see, this is actually called as module. Module means it's a place where I'll be writing my macros. Okay, so let's understand again. Project Explorer, which will hold all your objects. Property window, which will have all the properties of that object. Then next, code window, this will have the macros what we are writing. This is also called as a module. Okay, let me close this. And now we'll understand about this Project Explorer and the objects what we create in this. Okay, we learned about 3 windows. Now we'll learn about something called as modules. Modules means it's a place where I write the program. That is the code window what we just saw. But there are 5 different modules. Okay, the 5 different modules, I'll tell you what are those. First is standard module. The next is sheet module. Third one is workbook module. Fourth one is user form module, and the fifth one is class module. Okay, so let me repeat: standard module, sheet module, workbook module, user form module, and then class module. How do they look? How I create that? I'll show you that. First one is standard module. Standard module is a place where I'll be writing macros. Right click, say insert. Anywhere in this Project Explorer, anywhere you can just right click and say insert. Here I have this module. If I click on this module, see, there'll be one more folder which gets added, which is called as modules, and I'll get something called as module 1. It is nothing but something similar to creating a new sheet. Let me right click, again I can insert here. This is one way of inserting. Second way is I can go to this insert, which is there in the menu bar. See, insert, and I can click on this module. A module is created. Next, I can also use shortcut key Alt I and say M. This way also I can create. Fine. Okay. Next one, the sheet module. Can you see this sheet 1? Let me just close these modules. I have this sheet 1. You just have to double click on this. See, I'll get one more window. This is totally different from this one. I'll tell you what is the difference later. This is sheet module. Now, how to create sheet modules? I cannot go and directly create in this Project Explorer. So for that, what I have to do is I have to go to this workbook and add sheets here. See, I'm trying to add more sheets. Now let me get back to this VB editor. Can I say this? Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, sheet 5. So these are the modules what I'll be creating. If you double click, each sheet will have a separate window for that. That is code window for that. See, like this. Right. Let me close this. Next one is workbook module. If you go and click on this, see, double click on this. Can I see this? I'll get a workbook module like this. This is a workbook module. I cannot create workbook modules. That is, for one workbook, for one project, I can have only one workbook module. Next one. Next one is the user form module. Right click, insert, and say user form. See, I have a module here, the user form. Now, this also can be inserted by this insert and say user form. Or I can use shortcut key Alt-I-U. User. See, these are actually user forms. User form modules are actually used for creating a form, that is for input of the values from the user, and that will be saved in my database. It can be any of the other databases, or it can be within the Excel itself. See, if I double click on this object, I'll get one more window. Here is the place where I write the macros. So this is user form. So don't worry, we'll be learning this in depth in our further classes. These are different chapters for each module. So now I'm trying to show you how these different modules look. What is the difference between these 5 modules? The next module is the class module. Let me close all this. Say insert, say class module, or right click and say insert class module, or say Alt-I-C. I'll get this class module. Right? Okay. Let me close all this. Now we understood how to create standard module, sheet modules, workbook module, user form module, and class module. But if you go and check, all of them looks very similar. So how I can actually know the difference between these 5 modules? First, let's open this standard module. When I open this standard module, see, it looks very similar to other modules. But what is the difference? I have 2 drop downs here. If you can see this, in this window, I just have 2 drop downs. To go and click on this, it says general and it says declaration. The first drop down, what you see, this is called as object drop down. The one what you see here, this is called as events drop down. In standard module, I will not have any objects, and in events drop down, I'll not have any events. Right, I'll close this. Let me open the second one, that is sheet module. If you open, see here also, it looks very similar, but if you can see here, the first difference is it says sheet 1 code, but in standard module, it says module 1 code. See, and even the icon, you can see the difference. Let me close this. In sheet module, if you go, see in the object drop down, if I click on this, see, it says worksheet. That means there is an object in this. Let me click on this. See, I have so many events in this. Events are nothing but, that is the actions or events which trigger when I'm working on some program. Okay, so don't worry, all these things will be explained in detail in the coming chapters. See, I have an object, then events related to that object. Right, let me close this. Coming to this workbook, see, here again I have a different object. It is workbook. Previously I had worksheet, now I have workbook. See, I have events related to that object. Let me close this. Next is user form. So let me double click here. See, have this user form. Here I have events related to that object. Fine. Let me close this. Class module. Here for this also I have an object and events related to that object. Fine. So let's summarize this. We have 5 different modules: standard module, sheet module, workbook module, user form module, and class module. The difference is I can create any number of modules except this workbook, that is the workbook module. I can I cannot create any modules. Only one workbook module will be there in one project. Other difference is all the modules will have the objects and events related to that objects, but the standard module will not have any objects or any events. Okay, so this is the module where we'll be writing the macros. But don't worry, all these modules will be explained in detail chapter wise. Now, what we're actually trying to do is we are trying to understand how many different modules are there, what actually they do, how they are different from each other. That is what we have learned. Okay, so quickly let me summarize all the discussions what we did, and then I'll start with the basic macros to make you guys learn how to start writing the macros. Okay, so let me just brief quickly. So we opened an Excel file, then we pressed Alt F11. So we'll go to this VB editor, and here we learned about three different windows: Project Explorer, property window, and then code window. Let me open this. Then we understood about each windows. That is, the Project Explorer will hold all the objects. Property window will have all the properties of the objects what I've selected. Then code window will actually help us in writing the macros. And we understood about 5 different modules. That is standard module, worksheet module, workbook module, user form module, and then class module. We also saw about the difference between these modules. Okay, so if you have any questions, please ask me. So after this, I'll proceed with simple programs today. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. You can unmute and you can speak. Any doubts, Chitra, Deepak, Asit?
No, sir. No, sir.
Nothing? So I can proceed?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now what we'll do is we'll remove all the modules and we'll keep only one module and we'll start writing the macros. How to remove the module, that is also important. See, right click and say remove. When I say remove, it will ask, do you want to export this? If I say yes, the module will be exported. If I say no, it will not be saved. Let me just say no. Let me remove all these modules right now. As I told you, we're not using all these modules. Or we can open a new file itself. Okay, let me remove these sheets as well. Fine. We go and check the C. Now I have one sheet, one workbook. Then let me remove this form. I have one module and also will remove. See, this is a fresh file where we'll start writing the macros. First, now forget about all the modules. Don't think about the other modules. Just we'll work only on standard module as of now. Say right click, insert, and I'll say module. See, fine. Now today what we'll do is we'll see how to start writing the macros and we'll not think about the standardizations. Tomorrow I'll explain about the standardization of writing the macros. Okay, today we'll just see how to start writing the macros. Okay, so I just right clicked and then created one module, that is module 1. Now we'll start writing the macros. While you're writing a macro, what you have to do is first you have to use a keyword called as sub. That is SUB. So what is SUB? It is a keyword and it is called as subroutine. Subroutine means program or say macro. Okay, it says subroutine space. Now I have to write a program name here. So what is program name? Program name is nothing but it is a name which recognizes the instruction what I'm actually writing further. The program name has got some rules. I'll tell you what those rules are. When it says sub, I'll start writing my program name. The program name, what you have to do is see, I'll say my first program. First thing is the program name should be meaningful. Don't give any name whatever you feel like, because the whole program will be recognized by the name what you're actually specifying. Second thing is, this program name should be only one single word. Then you cannot have space. If I say single word, that means it should be no space. See, if I give space, it will say some error, it will throw some error. Let me remove this space. Then any program should not start with number. Let's say I'll give one number. See, it will throw error. After one character, I can use number. See, this is acceptable. No special characters. No dot. If you want to use a special character or if you want to give a space, then I can use underscore. This is the only special character which is allowed. Case sensitivity, you don't have to bother. The complete thing can be small letter or anywhere you can have a capital letter like this. This is acceptable. But usually the best practice is use like this. Say all the word, whatever is there, say my. Next, the first whatever is there, so this will be cap, so that I'll understand that this is a different word. Or if you still think that it's confusing, put one underscore here like this. Okay, so this is also acceptable. Now let me repeat the rules of writing program name. First thing is, it should be a meaningful name. It should be a single word, no space, no special characters, no dot. The program name should not start with number. Only special character what I can use is underscore. And then two programs cannot have same name. That means the program name should be unique. Okay, fine. Let's say display text. This display text is actually a program name. I'm trying to write a program just to display a text. I'll say enter. When I say enter, can you see that I'll get one open bracket and say close bracket and end sub. This part will come automatically once I write the program name and say enter. See, now the space what you have between this sub and end sub, this is the place where I'll be writing my macros. So what we'll do is we'll start with a simple instruction by using this message box. MSGBOX, message box. This is actually an inbuilt function, so you don't have to worry about this. So it says message box, MSG box, which is actually used to display a message. Now I want to display a text. Let's say double quote, this is my first program. Can you say this? I gave a text here within the double quotes. So keep in mind, whenever you are writing a macro and you're using a code with the text, then it should be within double quotes. Now let me execute this. What is execution? Execution, nothing but I have to run this program to show the result. Can you see one icon here, green button here? If I click on this, see, it says this is my first program. That means it is trying to execute it. See, I have a shortcut key F5. See, this way also I can execute or run the program. So this is one macro or subroutine or program. Let's say I want to display a number. Sub, say display number. I'll say message box, say 100. Can you see that I didn't put double quotes here? I put double quotes for text. For numbers, I've not put double quotes. I'll tell you why we should not put double quotes for numbers in next program. Let me say F5. Can you see that? It is displaying 100. Fine. Next. Sub display calcium. I can display or I can write a macro for doing calculation as well. Say MSG box 100 plus 200. Here I'm displaying only number. Here I'm trying to do the calculation. I'll say fi. Say fi. See, it says 300. 100 plus 200, saying 300. Now I was talking about why we should not put double quotes for numbers. Let's go here. Say sub display cancel to message box. I'll put double quotes 100 plus 200. Space. See here, both are same program. Here it says 100 and 200. I'm trying to add. Here also I'm trying to add, but I'm putting this double quotes. Let me execute this. See, 100 plus 200. It is saying 100 plus 200. It is not giving me the result of 100 plus 200. That means when I put a double quote, anything will become a text. Okay, fine. Now I can use this something like this as well. See, I just copy the same program. It will say 100 plus 200. Now I'll use equals. Here what I can do is I'll say ampersand. That means I'm trying to concatenate. I'll say 100 plus 200. Can you see this? This part is text. This part is the calculation. Now if I say fi 3, if I see 100 plus 200 equals 300. That means this part has become text and this part is actually the calculation. Okay, so this is how we start writing the program. Say message box is an inbuilt function wherein I can display a message. So here I've used a different way of displaying a message. Say I'm trying to display text, number, calculation, and combination of number and say text. Okay, fine. Now I've written the macro, but I have to save the file. Always keep in mind when I'm starting a new macro file or a new Excel file where I'm writing macros, save that first. How to save it? I'll tell you. Say Control S. When I say Control S, it will go to save as. What I've done is I've created a new folder. Say VBA Online Morning Batch. Here I'll say VBA Class 1. Can you see this? It says Macro Enabled Workbook. By default, it will be Excel workbook. Don't go to this Excel workbook. So what we'll do is I'll say macro enabled workbook. That means this option will actually convert your Excel file into macro workbook. The file name extension will be .xlsm, but your normal Excel will be .xlsx. Okay. When I say save, just trying to save this, the file got saved. Again, I'll repeat, when you are saving, please make sure that you will be saving it as macro enabled file, which will have the file name extension of .xlsm, because all your files which has got macros will be saved. If you're not saving it as .xlsm, instead if you're saving it as .xlsx, then you might or you will lose all the macros what you have written. Okay, so it is very important for you guys to save your file as .xlsm always. So have the practice. Once I open the file, immediately say save and save it as macro enabled file so that you won't miss any of your say macros. Okay, fine. Alt F11. So here we started learning about how to write simple macros. Now what you've done here is the hard-coded values. Hard-coded means directly I'm actually using the characters or say the sentence or numbers or whatever the calculations directly in the macro itself. But we are here to learn how to write macros based on the values which I get in Excel. Okay, so what we'll do, let me go back. Let's say I want to display the text what is there in sheet 1 of D5 value. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to connect from VBA to Excel and then display the message. If you see here, I was trying to display the message directly in the program. Next, what we'll do is we'll learn how I can get the value from this Excel sheet. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go here, I'll insert a new module. So one more instruction I'll give you. There is not required for creating multiple modules. You can write all the modules, all the macros in one single module itself. But it's a good practice that if you create different modules, so it will be easy for you to search for the macro what you have written. It is something like you have different sheets, and I'll be keep on writing some important things in different sheets. Okay, so I've created one different module here wherein I'll write a macro to get the value which is in Excel sheet. Now I'll say sub display text. I'll say message box, same thing. Now the previously I have written this is my first program. So this is what we had done previously. Now what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll try to take the value from Excel sheet. I'll say range of d5 dot value. This is the syntax, range address dot value. So this is how I'll be actually accessing the values from Excel sheet. Let me execute this. See, it says this is my first program. So whatever I have the value here, it will display. Let me change this. I'll say welcome to ITS online class. Now if I execute this program, see, it will give me the same result what I have in this D5, right? Okay, now I'll insert one more sheet. I'm in a different sheet. Let me run this program. See, I'll get a blank value. That means if I'm not using any sheet name here, what will happen is it will take the active sheet D5. See, it is trying to take the value from this sheet and it is showing. So how to avoid this? I want to get the result specifically from a particular sheet, even though I'm in a different sheet. So for that, what I have to do is say sub display text. I'll say to same message box. Let me copy the same code here. See, I use this range. So what I have to do is I have to use this sheet name. I'll say sheet1 dot. Can you see that? In this, I'm not mentioning the sheet name. Here I'm trying to mention the specific sheet name so that even if I'm in a different sheet, now let me execute this. See, I'm getting this result. If I run this, I'll get blank because in this sheet D5 there is no value. But in sheet 1, if you go here, see, I have this value. Understood? So whenever you are writing the macro, make sure that you have this practice of using the sheet name as well. So all the standardizations I'll tell you tomorrow when we are actually trying to rename the sheets or rename the module. That I'll tell you tomorrow, because today I told you we'll just try to understand how to write the macros. Okay, fine. Next one, we tried writing a macro for displaying number. Let's say go to this sheet, say 100. I want to display this 100. What I'll do, I'll say sub display num message box sheet1 dot range of say h5 dot value. Let me execute this. See, it says 100. That means I just changed only the address. Can you see that both are same, only the address is getting changed. Here it's trying to take D5 value, here it is trying to take H5 value. Next, display calculation. Let's say I want to add two numbers, say H5 and H6. Now I'll say message box sheet1 dot range of H5 dot value plus sheet1 dot range of H6 dot value. See, here I was trying to display a single number. Here I'm trying to take the value of H5 plus take the value of H6. Let me execute this. See, it says 300. Okay. Now if I change the value here, and if I execute this, see, it will give me the total of the values which are there in this cell and this cell. Next, I don't want to display a message. I want the calculation to be pasted, or say I want to get the result in this cell, that is in H7. That means I'm trying to put the output from VBA to Excel sheet. Now what we are doing, we are trying to take the values from Excel and then display the message. Now what we'll do is we'll see how we can add the values of these two cells and put the values in H7. So let me go here. I will take the same macro. I'll just copy the same thing and I'll paste it here. Instead of this message box, what we'll do is I'll just say H7 equals. Can you see that? It says H7 dot value equals H5 plus H6. Now let me execute this. It got executed. If I go back and see, can you see that? Let me delete this. I'll try to change the number. Now let me execute this. See, it will give me this result. Let's go back. Same program I have here, but here I have mentioned it as message box. Let me run this. See, I'll get the same result, but in message box. Okay, so this is how I'll be connecting from VBA to Excel sheet. Let's understand these two modules again. So here I'm trying to use this message box with hard-coded text, that is the values directly I'm taking in the macro itself. But in the second module, what we did is we tried to understand how to connect from macro to Excel sheet. To connect to Excel sheet, what I did, I used range, then the address dot value. Dot value is the method of it, that is how to get the value of it. Then we understood we have to give the sheet name so that I can specifically take from a particular sheet. The next step, we saw how to display number as well, that is how to take the value which is number. There is no change, so you don't have to bother about whether I have to put double quotes or without double quotes, because the value what I'm taking from a sheet will be any value like this. Just you have to mention the sheet name, range, address, and dot value. Okay, next, after that we saw how we can actually give the output in the Excel sheet itself instead of message box. So this message box option, why we actually use this, just to learn how to display message, that's all, how to start your simple program. Now what we did is one step ahead we have gone, that is how to do the calculation and put the output in Excel itself. Okay, so this is how you'll be start writing the macros. This is a very simple one-liners which I've taught you today. So what we'll do is I'll stop the class here, because first you understand the complete, right from the basics what I've taught, then learn about VB editor, then the windows what I've taught, then the modules what I discussed, and then start writing these macros, a simple macros. Don't take any assignments or anything today. Just work only on this and try to understand. Still, if you're not able to understand, you let me know tomorrow. I'll explain again. No worries. But make sure that you guys understand every bit what I've taught today, because it's the foundation. Once your foundation is strong, I'm telling you guys, you can write any kind of complex programs. In tomorrow's class, I'll show you more interesting things that is little more, complex than these programs. This is very simple one. Next, we'll go to two-liners, then multi-liners, then semi-complex, then complex programs. Okay, so after 2 or 3 classes, it will become very easy for you to start writing the macros. Okay, so I'll stop the class here. So we still have 10 minutes. If you want to discuss anything, please let me know. We can discuss. I'll stop the recording here.